wild duck walked up to a building full of humans and started screaming, not because she was lost, not because she wanted food. Her baby had fallen through a drain, and somehow this animal seemed to know that the most dangerous creature around might also be the only one that could open the ground. Under the normal rules of nature, that makes no sense. Humans are not what wild animals approach when they are afraid. Humans are what they escape from. So why do some wild animals move toward us when they are in trouble? The answer is not simply that animals decide humans are good. It is that, under enough pressure, the brain changes the question. Not, is this creature safe? But, is approaching it safer than what is happening to me right now? That is what makes us so difficult to understand. To wild animals, we are not simply predators. One day, we are disaster. The next day, we are a miracle. In December of 2005, a humpback whale became tangled in crab pot lines near the Farallon Islands off California. Not one line, more than 20. Rope wrapped around her tail, her back, and one of her flippers. Heavy fishing gear dragged from her body. Some of the line had cut into her skin. For a whale, that is not just painful, it is a breathing problem. She had to reach the surface for air while hundreds of pounds of human equipment kept pulling her down. Then a team of divers entered the water. Try to picture that from the whale's side. First, invisible human lines trap your body. Then more humans arrive wearing masks, carrying knives, releasing clouds of bubbles. A single movement of her tail could have killed them, but she stayed almost completely still. For about an hour, the divers cut through the lines one by one, and when she was finally free, she did not immediately disappear. The rescuers said she circled back and gently touched them before swimming away. That is the part everyone remembers. It looked like gratitude. Maybe it was. But we do not need to read the whale's mind to understand the deeper contradiction. The whale was trapped by human technology. Then, she was freed by human technology. The same species created the danger and the exit. Wild animals are not trying to decide whether humans are good or evil. They are trying to survive a creature that can switch between both without warning. Predators are easier. A lion does not become a veterinarian on weekends. A shark does not trap you on Monday and rescue you on Tuesday. Predators have a kind of grammar. If the wolf gets close, run. If the snake coils, move back. If the shadow passes overhead, hide. The danger has a shape. Humans do not. A hand can carry food or set a snare. A truck can kill an animal or arrive carrying medicine. A boat can drag a net through the ocean or become the only solid thing between a seal and an orca. This is why the title is not really a compliment. To wild animals, humans are capricious gods. Not good gods. Not evil gods. Inconsistent ones. And the first reason animals sometimes approach us is simple. Desperation can overpower fear. Normally, a wild animal survives by keeping its distance. But fear is not the only thing the brain is measuring. It is also measuring pain, air, energy, predators, and escape routes. At some point, running from a human may become less dangerous than staying trapped, bleeding, or unable to breathe. Think about a paramedic. Normally, you would not let a stranger cut your clothes, put their hands on your chest, and stick a needle into your arm. But if you cannot breathe, the meaning of that stranger changes. You do not suddenly trust strangers as a category. You are simply out of better options. For an injured animal, that calculation may happen without anything resembling a human thought. No sentence, no plan, just a nervous system reaching the point where the usual response is no longer working. Run, still trapped. Fight, still trapped. Freeze, still dying. Then the animal tries something else. Sometimes that something else is us. But desperation does not explain why some animals approach the right kind of human. For that, we need memory. In 2013, divers were watching manta rays at night off Kona, Hawaii, when a bottlenose dolphin appeared near the group. The dolphin stayed close and moved strangely. One diver, Keller Laros, saw why. Fishing line was wrapped tightly around one of the dolphin's fins. When Laros approached and began cutting the line, the dolphin did not flee. It remained near him. At one point, it even shifted its body in a way that made the line easier to reach. The fairy tale version is obvious. The dolphin knew. The dolphin asked. The dolphin understood that this human had a tool and wanted to help. Maybe, but we do not need to assume all of that. The simpler explanation is already remarkable. The line was connected to pain. The diver became connected to relief. This is associative learning. Brains connect events that happen together. A sound can become food. A smell can become danger. A diver can become the moment when pressure disappears. Not because the animal understands the whole story, because its brain is trying to make the future less surprising. And this may be the most important idea in the entire story. An animal does not need to understand what humans are. It only needs to learn what humans sometimes do. Similar behavior has been reported in manta rays that remain near divers while hooks or fishing line are removed. That does not prove they are consciously visiting a doctor. It only shows that pain, relief, and human presence can become connected. But memory can go further than one rescue. Some animals live long enough and think socially enough to carry an encounter for years. That is where elephants become interesting. Wildlife teams have reported injured elephants allowing ranger vehicles unusually close. The elephant does not need to understand what a wildlife agency is. It may only recognize a pattern. A vehicle like this came near before. Humans came out. The pain stopped. I survived. Elephants recognize individuals. They remember places. They respond differently to different people, voices, and threats. So the animal may not be trusting humanity. It may be building a smaller category. This sound, this vehicle, this kind of approach. Not safe in general. Safe enough to wait. But then the story gets stranger. Because sometimes the animal is not asking a human for help at all. It is using us. A seal fleeing an orca may jump onto a boat, a dock, or even a surfboard. The seal does not need to believe the fisherman is kind. It only needs to notice one fact. The orca cannot follow it onto the boat. In that moment, the human world becomes geography. Not a friend, not a savior, a surface, a boundary, a strange floating island controlled by a person who did not expect to become part of a nature documentary that morning. Human structures create new escape routes. A road is a barrier, a building is a cliff, a porch is shelter, a boat is land in the middle of water, a drainage grate is a trap until a human opens it. To us, these are objects. To animals, they are new rules. No animal evolved for windows, fishing line, traffic, fences, or storm drains. They are all improvising. On camera, all of these moments can look like the same thing, an animal asking a human for help. But underneath, they may be completely different behaviors. The whale may be too exhausted to resist. The dolphin may associate a diver with relief. The elephant may recognize a familiar vehicle. The seal may not trust the human at all. It may only trust the surface beneath the human. What connects them is not friendship. It is adaptation. The animal changes its normal response because, in that moment, the normal response has become less useful. That is probably the closest answer to why wild animals sometimes seem to ask us for help. Fear is not gone. It has been outranked by suffocation, by injury, by a predator, by memory, by the possibility that this particular human-shaped thing may lead to relief. But here is where the story turns. Humans are extremely good at adding intention to behavior. Too good. We see faces in clouds. We hear attitude in text messages. So when an animal approaches, we immediately write dialogue for it. She knew. He asked. It said thank you. Maybe. Maybe not. A look is not a sentence. A pause is not a paragraph. These stories spread because we do not only want to see an animal survive, we want to believe that something wild looked at humanity and made a choice. You are safe. That feeling is powerful, but it can also teach us the wrong lesson, because the opposite lesson matters too. When animals learn that humans can be useful, that learning can save them, it can also get them killed. A bear learns that campsites contain food. It gets closer, then closer. Eventually, people stop calling it curious and start calling it dangerous. The bear may eventually be relocated or killed for repeating a behavior that humans helped teach it. This is the cruel side of being a capricious god. Sometimes kindness teaches the wrong lesson. We love the moment when a wild animal chooses not to run from us. Nature may prefer the animal that runs. Fear is not always a flaw. Often, it is protection. And this is where well-meaning people often get it wrong. A wild animal approaching a human is not an invitation to touch it. Most of the time, helping means giving it space and calling trained wildlife professionals. Good intentions are not the same thing as good help. Run. And that brings us back to the duck outside the building. Think back to the duck outside the building. She did not understand maintenance workers or drain design. She had a problem her own body could not solve. Her baby was under the world, and one of the giant, unpredictable creatures above it might be able to open it. That is not a simple story about trust. It is a story about fear making room for possibility. Maybe that is what humans look like from the other side. Not heroes, not villains, not gods in the comforting sense. More like weather with hands, a storm that can destroy the nest, a miracle that can lift the duckling out. So when a wild animal appears to ask a human for help, it is fine to feel moved. Just do not reduce the moment to a fairy tale. The animal may not be saying, "I trust you." It may be saying something much older, something closer to survival. "I have tried everything else, and you are the only impossible thing left." Maybe our job is not to feel like gods. It is to become less confusing, less careless, and easier for the animals around us to read. Because somewhere outside a door, beneath a boat, beside a road, or under the surface of the ocean, an animal is trying to decide what kind of human it has encountered. For once, it would be nice if the miracle and the disaster did not look so much alike.